All right, Mr. Chair, you're live.
Okay. All right. So you guys have me for at least the next hour. At 7 o'clock, I will have to hand this off to someone else if we're still going, because I do have a settlement in Montgomery County later today. However, you guys all hopefully have the agenda. No. Okay. Well, I did email it to everyone, and I think if I do this right, I can probably share it, but we'll see. And bear with me for just a couple minutes. Adam, are you able to give me the ability to share things?
Looking at it, 1 second. Okay, try it now. If not, I can pull up the agenda for you.
Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay.
Whoa.
If I'm not mistaken, you guys should all have the agenda there. If you're on a phone, it might be a little difficult to see, but if you're on a computer, it should show you the agenda, and then the rest of us will be off on the right-hand side. So we're going to call this to order at 6:04. And I do apologize about previous meeting minutes. I did not send those out. I'm not even 100% sure if I have them. If I find something from the last time we met, which I believe was February, I will share those around. But I think we might have approved those by email at some point prior. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember, but if I get a chance, I will check that out. But if nothing else, I'm going to dive right into the old business. As far as membership goes, right now, I believe we are technically down one member, and that would have been Mary's old spot. And then we are coming up on renewals, I believe. Cheryl, did you get your renewal done?
Yes, I did. I got mine done, and I got approval back from the mayor. Okay,
great. I believe Annette was done too, if I'm not mistaken. That leaves Jim, your renewal is coming up. So if you're going to do that, that is next month. No, 2 months from now, December. So just let me know.
Is that me?
Yes, you. So you don't have to make any decisions now, but just let me know if you want to keep going or if you want to pass it off to someone else. And then for EMS and fire, so I don't think John's here, but Chad, it looked like you were here. You guys technically are up a year from now. So as long as your organization...
Mr. Crary just joined.
Oh, okay, good to see you, John. Glad you're here. You guys are both up in...
Evening, everybody.
Hey, John. You guys are both up in 2021 in October, so we can cross that bridge when we come to it. But as long as your organizations are good with keeping you, it works for us. So that's membership. Route 40 ad hoc, I don't know that there's anything out of that I'm aware of. Do we know if Tim has joined yet? I don't see him on the list as of yet.
It says Tim. It says he's joining. I think he must be having an issue.
Okay. Well, there might be a couple things that we'll put pins in until we can talk to Tim, because I know he's going to have to weigh in on a couple things. So hopefully he'll be able to make it. Grants would be one of those things. He would let us know if they've gotten any new road grants recently. I'm not aware of anything new around the traffic pattern with the old 7-Eleven, if anything has changed with that. We'll also have to ask him about railroad maintenance at Revolution. I don't know if that got done either. Same thing with Chapel Road. I mean, I've been up there a couple times, but a couple of you guys live a little closer. So if you want to weigh in on that, if you think the problem is still persisting, if you think looks better now. I know like I said, I know a couple of you guys are up there more than I am.
Was that the parking out on the road issue?
Yes, the parking on the road. Has that subsided?
Yeah, it much better. Looks good.
Okay, great. So I think that one will probably fall off here eventually, because if we've actually at least come to a good ending with that, hopefully. Next is G, the electronic trolley. So good news on that front. Casey, you still here?
I'm here,
Awesome.
but
You
Adam
wanna-
is probably the best person to talk about this.
Oh, okay. I was going to let you do it because it was good news, but if you want to have Adam can do it too.
So about a month ago, the state of Maryland adopted a regulation which gives us the authority to operate the low-speed overweight vehicle in hazard race. So as of right now, I'm working with Patrick Seipel and the Director of Administration. We're working on procuring between 3 and 6 trolleys based on just the cost and all the logistics behind it. So we're thinking spring 2021, we should have these vehicles on the road.
Well, that'll be great. Okay. So next is Canvasback.
So, do you want
Oh,
to
sorry.
keep moving forward in regards to the trolleys? Do we want to keep it on the list, or now that it's been kind of resolved, does it fall off the?
I mean, I'm good with falling it off, like taking it off the list until we actually get one and see if there are any issues that arise from it. So, I mean, I think that might be the best way to do it. So for right now, I mean, I put a little X next to it since I only honestly left it on this one so we could say good news. It
Right.
actually was good. So I am going to have that one probably fall off the agenda until we actually get it done. And then, come springtime next year, if it's creating any issues or if there's anything we need to talk about, we can always put it back on.
Excuse me, who was speaking about the trolley? Who
That was
speaking?
Adam Rabinski.
Okay.
Did I pronounce that right?
Close, Rybczynski.
Rybczynski. Sorry about that.
Okay. I'll just put Adam and save us all, okay?
Adam R.
I just didn't know who it was.
Okay.
Hi, Adam. I'm Cheryl. I try to take a little bit of notes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so we'll get rid of that until something comes up that we need to talk about it again. But overall, hopefully by next year we should be riding a trolley if we so choose. All right, so H, that I'm also going to take that one off unless anyone has any issues with it. That was when we were trying to see if those stop signs in those two areas could be removed, and the answer turned out to be no. So unless anyone has any reason we should keep that on there, I'm going to knock that one off as well.
The only thing that went along with that was that Tim was looking into doing a bike lane.
Okay.
And I don't know, along Canvasback, I don't know where he is with that. Most likely because of COVID, everything got pushed back to the background.
Okay. Yeah, and I know Ken was going to try and be here, but I think he was on vacation today. So
Officer Terry is on this call.
Oh, hey Ken. Okay. I'll just assume he said yes.
I just asked him to unmute his mic.
Oh,
He
okay.
did. He hand signal.
And signal.
Okay, so we're good. We're good there. Unless Ken, do you have anything to add with the bike lane?
Oh, there he goes.
Okay, we'll move on. If we end up getting the volume thing fixed, I'll let just jump in at any time, Ken, and we'll cede the floor to you. So the next thing is, bear with me, lighting around the stadium, crosswalks, and parking issues. So do we know, has there been any change to that lighting?
No, there's been no change to the lighting. And then there's no intention to change the lighting at this time that I know of.
Okay.
And nobody's been complaining about parking issues this year.
Well, there's less people out, so not as many parking issues. All right, so I'll leave that one on for whenever we end up meeting next, just in case the lighting still, because I think the problem was the lighting was washing out people's vision. It's not that it wasn't lit well enough, it was lit too well or something. And I think that might be a time of day, time of year issue too.
Right. And the parking issues with when the football season was going on.
Right.
And they were parking inappropriately.
Right. I think we're also going to put a pin probably in J as far as safe routes to the new school until, I mean, they haven't started going back yet, right? High school doesn't go back to the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mid-November, I believe, is when the high school students go back.
So at that point, we can start addressing, depending on how many walkers we end up with,
Right.
from that, what routes they start taking, and then we'll, keep an
Right.
eye on that as best we can.
We do have money in the current budget to put the sidewalk in,
Okay.
but that was put on hold, not knowing what the projected income for the city would have. We don't know that yet, really, with the if we're going to have to adjust our projects due to the amount of tax receipts coming in.
Which makes sense. All right, so now we're going to start getting into some of the newer stuff that hasn't been on the agenda before. So the Tidings Park Basin area, traffic speed parking. So what this one is, so as you're coming towards Tidings Park on Union, you know how you have you've got the right of way. If you're on Union, you can make the left or the right. You don't have to stop. I think there's been some complaints about possible speed issues in that area, I guess, coming around the curve. And then as far as the traffic, I think it was just a relatively high traffic area. And then the parking issues, I think we're parking along. Anyone want to help me with what that street is that you make that left onto?
Commerce.
Is it Commerce? I was gonna say,
Commerce, yes.
I know it's not Market because that's the other side.
It's Commerce. It's
yeah,
Commerce.
So as you make that left onto Commerce, I guess there were some parking issues along there. So I mean, that stuff we could really look, we can look into the parking issues to make sure people are parking where they're supposed to. That's just I'm sorry, one quick second. I'm sorry. Yes. Just print more of them. It should. I'm so sorry. Let me save it for you. Running a Zoom meeting and and an office is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. Feel free to talk.
Glad you're
amongst
not trying to teach a 4-year-old or a fourth grader at the same time.
Well, that you could just give them a snack, right? You just give them a snack and just let them go.
Well, if there are parking issues, isn't that just like an enforcement issue?
So the parking issues are multifold. And people parking in areas where you're not supposed to.
Okay, so that's it.
Parking along a yellow line, parking in front of the alley. Double parking, we have a good amount of double parking that it's occurring. I believe the city has really tried to deal with the issue with the jumping of the curb that was happening up by the pickleball court. It's not because of the pickleball courts. It's because of the trailers being parked down in the basin area. An easy way out for them is just to hop over the curb versus going all the way down and around. And then there's a large amount of noise. Mainly, I think it's mainly illegal muffler sounds, that really loud exhaust system sound. And at times it can be somewhat intolerable in the area. And the complaints come from not only the people who live in the houses there, but also the apartments. when you suggest to the people in those areas that they should call the police and make a complaint, they're fearful of doing so.
Do we know why they're fearful of doing so?
Retaliation and retribution, we all know who owns what vehicles around here.
It's not just local people owning it's any kind of retribution. You know, it's a pretty broad spectrum there.
Oh, so they're worried that the police would tell the person who called?
Or that it's pretty obvious that it's somebody along the houses there. There's like 4 of them called.
Oh, okay. I was thinking more like in an apartment building. It's kind of hard in an apartment building to
Right,
tell.
not in an apartment building as much, but of the houses, there's only 4 houses there.
Okay.
Okay.
So we do, even on Otsego and Juniata, we do call. We ask for calming assistance. We're able to give, you know, almost verbatim what the vehicle looks like. The interaction is, it's challenging, is what it boils down to. I mean, unless you want us to start pulling the videos and, you know, throwing them out on Facebook, the responses just sometimes aren't, I think, what people are expecting. Especially over off of Erie, Ontario, Legion, the Superior side.
Okay. I mean, that maybe we can get Ken to weigh in on that a little bit, as far as like, I guess what their procedure is when you make those phone calls. Because I always thought that was the right answer, is if you hear something or see something like that, you just, you know, report to the non-emergency line, and then that they would take care of it. So maybe there's a better way to do that that I just don't know about, and it's certainly possible. Ken, have you got your sound working by any chance?
It looks like he's typing.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yeah, if he's answering those.
Oh, chat.
So where?
Did they see? I'm back on.
Okay, so he's
Right.
just saying they still need to call. They can remain anonymous. Yes, they can call in anonymously, which I guess is harder with those 4 houses if that's what I mean, but again, if you can't tell between 4 houses and then all those multiple apartments, I mean, I don't know that right. I mean, because it's all the same line, right? It's all that same like Legion, that not Legion, Commerce. So it's all along that line, right? Where it's those 4 houses, and then it turns into like the 2 sets of apartments on either side of the road.
Right.
So, I mean, there is a lot of people in that area that it could easily be. I mean, unless whoever it is that's calling is also running out and yelling that they're calling the police. I mean, then they would be easy to identify you, I would guess.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that might be the best thing to tell them, is if they can just call anonymously, because that's the only way I can think to get it to stop. Because, I mean, if there's a police officer sitting there, I would hope the person wouldn't then do whatever they're doing.
Right.
So.
Oh, they do it anyways. And that's part of the problem. They're now just going out onto Facebook. They stopped calling, or they don't want to call. So they're out on Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
Oh, that's
And
interesting, because I would think with Facebook and Twitter, it would be easy to identify who it is.
It
But I
is.
guess,
It
okay.
is now, but now, you know, there's, you know, the individuals in the whole beginning of the COVID, they were calling, I was calling, and we were blown off. Literally is the impression for quite a few people. We were blown off. And so they started going out to Facebook, out to Twitter, and they gave up. And now that's the only place that they feel they can go to voice their opinion and start getting these things noticed.
Okay. So I guess I'm not really sure what we could do. I mean, because it seems like that's more of an enforcement thing. And certainly feel free, let's think over the next month and see if there's anything as a committee that we can come up with to help something like this. Casey, if you have any ideas off the top of your head, I certainly defer to anything you have. But as for me, I don't know, other than the reporting thing, I don't know what else. I mean, I'll certainly think about it. I don't know what the answer is though.
Well, what has occurred in Havre de Grace is we now have a circuit because it's been allowed to happen. The circuit goes down Union, across Commerce, up Market Street, and then around. And they just circle around it for a while. They probably come in past Carrie's house in order to get to the circuit, which only makes it even more painful for more people. It is honestly probably more so on the weekends. And I don't think it's necessarily Havre de Grace people doing it. So doing any kind of outreach to people who live in Havre de Grace is really going to be as helpful as quite frankly just enforcement. And maybe it's a request from the committee to the mayor to step up enforcement on the weekends in that area.
Okay. And Ken also wrote in that.
Is this?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut someone off there.
Well, I was just going to ask, is this noise from vehicles, just from the exhaust? Is that what we're
It's
talking
mainly
about?
noise from the exhaust of the vehicles, but they're going in a short span, laying on the gas, between stop sign, which they're probably not going over the speed limit but it's the acceleration of it, which makes that sound.
Sure.
And in addition to that is especially, I'm sorry to say this, Judge, but it's motorcyclists thinking that everybody has to hear what they need to hear.
Well, I couldn't hear you.
Right? Right?
Well, true, there are, and it's not just Harleys too. There are other types that wind up. I hear them too. And then there's the muscle cars with exhausts. And there is a decibel meter that can track this, but I think they're pretty expensive.
Right. And if you look at what other municipalities have done, the most obvious one is Ocean City and what they did for the H2O to try to prevent it from being a magnet for that, doing the circuit in those types of vehicles that make those types of noises.
Well,
all of which we have legislation on the record, on the books that says if it's over a certain amount, a sound, then you can't have it, and you're not supposed to have the different modified exhaust systems.
Right. There's a state law on that. The question is, do we have the decibel device in enough police vehicles to have officers be able to start writing tickets? It's, they're not cheap. They have to be calibrated all the time, and you've got to train the officers to use them. So, but you have to have them first.
So first, does Havre de Grace have them, number one? And number two, do any of our partnered or allied agencies have them that we would be able to pull them in and help us on occasion? Okay.
Yeah, Ken says as of now, we don't have any of those.
Are there any allied agencies that do?
Not that he's aware of.
I missed the beginning part of this conversation, but this part, I have a little understanding here. If I remember correctly, when we had these problems in the past, there was a service provided by the state would come in and do the testing for us over a period of time. So there may be a state level that we could research to see if they're still doing that, to bring them in to test the sounds. Does that help you any?
That's a good idea, to see if there's a state agency that takes care of this.
Was that done through the police or through the DPW, John?
That was probably a PW, the police, and probably with the Maryland environmental groups, city group. Yeah.
Okay.
I have one question. I know that out on Perry Point, we're actually starting to enforce the quiet zone because it's a hospital area. And is that on the books here? Because you've got a nursing home, a rehabilitation facility, and you have a hospital. Those are quiet zone areas. Is there a law on that? Because it doesn't require if I remember, there's nothing on the decibel for that piece.
I believe there's already if the noises can be heard over 50 feet away, then something can be done. I don't know about a quiet zone based on those areas, but it certainly is something that we can look into.
Just coming, you may remember, we had somebody on 155 here. Can't remember his name here. We brought them in to do the signings right here on 155 for a while. That dealt with the jake brakes and the car mufflers and everything else.
Okay. Well, if we can move on from that one,
Okay,
I think that
Ken said that he's going to look into the noise information for the next meeting.
that's perfect. Okay, so next one is L, and that is the parking. And I was really hoping DPW was going to be here for this one because I don't know the answer to this, and maybe someone else will on the call. The parking lot that is by Tidewater Grill, and then you go from Tidewater Grill all the way over to the Legion and then back out onto the main road. Do we know who owns either that? Because there's a portion of it that is basically road. So do we know who owns that? Whether that is a city thing?
That's city property.
That's all city property?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll
That
talk to
should be city
DPW
property.
then. Sorry, I cut someone off.
That's all right. I was just saying, that's the property, although for a while we were fighting with a developer there who wanted the air rights over it.
Oh, okay.
Never came to fruition as far as I know.
The only reason I put it on there, I spent some time there. I've actually spent a few weekends there just hanging out and watching the traffic pattern because I noticed it the first time. So I went back and watched a couple other times. And since now I know that it's city property, I think we need to find a way to darken the one-way arrows and some of the other things there. Because if you sit basically near that boat ramp and watch people that will come down there and then make a right and then head towards Tidewater, where that's really only should be one way. And the only thing I can think of is that if you're not from here, you might not know that that's one way, and it's kind of hard to tell if the arrow and the arrows aren't very dark. So that's something that we could probably have repainted and maybe put in a stop, like some sort of bar, like do not enter bar, something like that would stop that. I haven't noticed any accidents. I've only really been there a little bit, and it's still low enough speed that people aren't going to run into each other. But if that might be a good idea of something that we could actually, take care of people going the wrong way down there, because it is relatively unsafe at night, I would imagine. And that was the only thing I had with that whole area.
I do that all the time, and I'll try to keep it straight next time.
Well, yeah, and especially as committee members, if we can make sure to not go the wrong way down there, that'd be awesome too. So that way people aren't following us. All right.
I just felt I was grandfathered in, so
so the next one, that one's kind of long, but that one is, there's been a couple requests for pedestrian-activated crossings at each one of those crossings. So that's going to be something I'm going to have to talk with DPW about to find out twofold. A, whether we own those crossings, and B, if we don't own those crossings, how we can talk to state highways. I think a couple of them might already be on the state highway list, because I know we've talked about a couple of them before, but that is definitely going to end up being a DPW request to find out if we can do them. I mean, if they're on us, I imagine those are expensive, so that would have to be a budgetary thing, which we won't be able to do for another year, I would think, right?
So there's no stoplight at Union at the library.
Okay.
What they're talking about is,
But you could have,
the flashing yellow, and the pedestrian can actually activate it to turn it to red to allow them to cross that street just in that area. And then it
Right.
goes back to flashing yellow.
We have a multitude of problems with that area. And I believe just in the short term, what was supposed to be done when the Opera House has an event as people are leaving, they are supposed to activate the emergency. The fire department has lights that go on and off there too. So that is a very complicated intersection. And I understand completely what you're talking about, but I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
well, you
There.
already have
Huge issue on that intersection.
You already
We just-
have active crossings in GN. And I'm not sure about Lewis and Revolution, but I think you've already got the crossings at a couple of those already.
Yeah. Lewis and Revolution, we're supposed to be getting a pedestrian activated. That's by where you would cross over to go to the new high school.
They are going to get that once
Right.
the school's finished.
Right, once it's finished. An old post at Family Dollar. Again, there's no stoplight there either.
Yeah, I
So
know
is
there's
the
no stop-
idea just to put in these where the pedestrian presses the button and then that's going to stop all traffic?
Yes, to allow the students to be able to cross. That's a big crossing area for some of the kids that are coming out of that side, to be able to cross on over to get to the school. A parent who was leaving the library suggested putting one in at the library to be able to cross Union. But then the parents that are over here near Superior, that was a spot that if they could at least get one place where the kids could get the traffic to stop so they could cross safely, instead of walking in the street to get to the actual light at the corner.
Well, we've been having that problem with the kids for a long time. They kind of go out on their own little adventures there, but that is a major concern at Lewis and Revolution Street for sure. Like I say, I'm not sure what's out there without me taking a ride out there to look at it. But
Yeah, I'm trying to think. When I see the kids walking to school on Revolution, I don't see them coming across Seneca at all, honestly. I see them coming down from
see you later,
those townhouses down Revolution, and then they cross they don't go straight across, they go on a diagonal across Lewis Street, which is a problem.
And for
Yeah.
the future,
But it's, yeah.
looking at the other, JW, I thought we could maybe merge J and N together for the future here.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. Sometimes I get lucky.
And which one did you want to merge, John?
If you go-
Because when you speak, something's wrong with your it echoes in my on my side.
Okay, letter
Is that
M.
me? Yeah, I switched computers to try to get that improved. I'm just having problems.
Okay, and you wanted to merge which ones, L and
No, we're merging J, school, and M.
okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Ms. Cheryl. It's clear. It's doing a little wanging.
Sorry about that. I had a closing going on while we were trying to do this as well. Okay. So I will run all that. I'll run those areas through DPW too to see if anything else is in the works that we were unaware of. As soon as we can get a hold of someone from them. So let me run this.
I'm here now.
Oh,
This is Tim Whitty.
hey Tim.
Hey,
So the couple things that we had now that we have you, just jumping back to E real quick. Do you know if that railroad maintenance got done?
it's not done, but it will be getting done. We just got an email. It's been a while, and that's gonna get taken care of. They're gonna tear out the rubber matting and put asphalt in. So they've got it, at least got it scheduled to get done.
Is that
I don't know when, but they promised to get it done.
I'm sorry.
I can't give a date. They just promised that they would get it done at some point.
Okay. Well, to give myself a reference, I'll put spring 2021. That's a good amount of time. And if they don't do it by then, we'll push
I
it
would
again.
think so.
Okay. So the next one, any new road grants?
Nothing at this point in time. No, we've been working on some other stuff, but there's nothing really out there that can help us right now. It's a lot of matching funds. You get 20,000, you got to find 20,000, and at this point in time, we just don't have that type of financing right now. I don't have a budget set up, you know what I mean, to put up matching funds for it.
Right. No, that
For
makes
some
sense.
of the grants that are out there.
All right. And then we were just talking about the pedestrian-activated crossings. Did you get a chance to weigh in on that while I was gone? I apologize.
I did. I mean, the one at Lewis is definitely going to happen. I talked to John Benenza, and it's scheduled. They're just going to hold off to once the school and all the construction activity gets done out there. And then the other ones, there are a couple state roads. I mean, I could talk to John about that and see what he's going to say, but they're state, Revolution, Old Post Road and Family Dollar, Union Avenue is a state road, and Ostego, I believe, state road.
Okay.
So, some of those I have to run by them, see if they've got money in the budget to be able to do that type of stuff, or they'd be interested in it.
Okay. And that's kind of what I thought. Some of those look like state roads to me. All right. So moving on to the next one, letter N, speed limit on Juniata dropping from 25 to 15. So, I mean, I know we've talked about this on a few other roads. I think the problem we run into is someone, I'm not sure who that was, but someone was heading to another meeting. So have a good one.
The problem is it's unenforceable. Once you drop below 25 miles an hour, you can't enforce the speed limit. 25 is the minimum the state recognizes. So
Correct.
So I guess you could drop it to 15. They're still going to do 30, and I don't think you can write them a ticket then or something. You have to check with Teresa the whole language of that, but I think that's the issue.
And that's how it's been explained every time we've brought this up, is that, you can post a speed limit if you want to at 15. The problem is it's not enforceable until they're over 25. So if they're doing 30 and a 15, the most you're going to be able to write them a ticket for is that 5 over.
Right.
least how it's been explained to me, and Ken certainly correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm not sure that dropping the speed limit is going to do what the people who are requesting it. I'm not sure if it's going to do exactly what they're looking for, because my guess is the people that are breaking the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit are not going to have a problem breaking a 15 either. So changing the signs from 25 to 15, I think the only people that's really going to affect are the people who are already following the speed limit. And Ken just said that is correct. So the way we were talking about it with the dropping it to 15, if you're going 30 and a 15, you're still only 5 miles an hour. And as I'm sure the judge will tell you, if you write a ticket for someone that's only going 5 miles over the speed limit, that's not really going to do anything in court to them. So, and in fact, the court probably.
It's true. There's you can't get your speedometers calibrated that well, so that's what makes it unenforceable.
So I think as far as that goes, I mean, unless anyone has any other feelings on that one, anytime anyone asks, at least when they ask me, that's usually what I bring up to them, is that, we could change the speed limit and lower it there, but the problem is that it's unenforceable and the people that are breaking it aren't going to follow it. And it's just money that the city has to pay, because every time we change a speed limit sign, we have to buy those signs, and it's not like they're cheap. So then we change them all to 15, and then who knows, 5 years down the road, someone might change them all back to 25s again. And I'm sure TPW keeps a stock of them, but I just feel like it's us spending the taxpayer money for something that we can't enforce. At least that's my personal feeling. Not as necessarily the chair, but as JW, my personal feeling is I try not to spend too much of the city's money on things like that unless we can enforce them. But I'll open the floor.
Yeah, no, I just think the whole thing was, it wasn't just, Juniata, it was the entire circuit of what Cassie had brought up. I mean, it was just the entire circuit to try to, if they dropped it, then maybe that would allow something that could be enforceable. I don't think that a couple of the folks understood that dropping it below that 25 threshold was not enforceable.
And that might be the best thing next time. And Kara, if they bring it up to you, but any of the other members too, if anyone ever brings anything like that up, that's usually the best way to tell them, is that, the 25 is the limit as far as enforceability goes. Anything we do under that is technically not enforceable. Not that we want that information out, because I think it's a good idea having that information not out, because the couple places where we do have the 15s, maybe people are actually following it, but it's hard to tell. So that's a thin line you walk there, whether how much you want that information out there that it's technically unenforceable. But I know we do it sometimes. So I'm thinking on Juniata, it's probably not worth the expense to change that whole street to 15s, because I don't think it'll fix the problem. I think more likely the decibel stuff, and that might, maybe if there's a way for us to work on that, and we can certainly brainstorm as to other ideas that we can do to help alleviate some of the pressure on that circuit. But I don't think the 15 is an answer, so I'm going to take that off unless anyone has any objections.
No objection.
Right. Sounds good. Moving on to the next thing, Lewis at Route 40 pedestrian cross times. So I think the note that I got on that one was that there. So that is, I believe that one is, you can activate the crossing on that one. Is that true? I think you can activate it.
Yeah, you have to press the button, but there's not enough time to be able to cross all of State Route 40. You're usually about halfway through before it goes to the solid red of stop. So it's going to have to be extended. Now that the high school is coming on board, the children that are over in that whole townhome area, they can become walkers.
I've seen people they get stuck in the middle a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's something, Tim, if we can get you to talk to, next time you get a chance to talk to State Highways, because they're the ones who are going to have to look into the timing on that. Because I know we can't do anything. But if you can have state highways look into the pedestrian cross times as well as the the timing on each one of the lights again, because I can't imagine it would hurt to have a checkup to make sure. And I'm guessing they have different programs for different times a day. So maybe talk to them about the program that would be about the time people are walking to school and walking home from school, to see if we can maybe just extend the pedestrian cross times at least for those programs. And like the night program, obviously we probably don't need that.
Yeah, Tim, have them come at the time that we really need them and not at lunchtime or first thing in the morning. Because it's usually when the kids are going to school. And I've noticed at noontime, a lot of people, I guess they're going to Burger King or Weis for lunch. It's crowded. They're stuck in the middle out there a lot. Last week I saw 2 older men and I felt sorry for them.
Right. I was going to say, I don't know whether there's somebody who's in an electric wheelchair, but they've been crossing there recently too.
That's Miss B, and I tried to talk her from going across.
Yeah.
No, you can't stop her.
No, you can't.
All right, and then the last thing we have on the agenda, possible openings in that fence along the Amtrak line. So Tim, next time you talk to the Amtrak people, if you can get them to just check their fence, make sure there aren't any holes of people crossing there, because I know we've been trying to.
Tim,
stop
I've already found two holes and they already repaired them. I told Sergey, who's over in Cecil County, who's their maintenance supervisor at the Amtrak. I told him on Monday I'd give him a whole list of where they're at with the coordinates.
Okay.
Oh, great. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I'm trying to keep the foxes from creating new dens underneath the tracks.
Okay, great. Well, and that also stops kids, hopefully. I mean, if the openings are big enough from kids crossing that, because we also want to avoid that as much as possible. All right, moving on to new business. Does anyone have anything that we haven't mentioned up to this point that they got from any citizens? Okay, kind of sounds like we might be good. Do any of the committee members have any comments that they wanted to give as far as maybe anything we've talked about or anything new that they also wanted to get on the next agenda?
Nothing from me.
Okay.
No.
Sounds good. Okay, so normally I would have just set whatever our next meeting is, but I did want to have a quick discussion with you guys. So do we want to try and do this monthly from this? Bear with me for one quick second. Chad just texted something there. Okay, so he was saying that he's able to make it cross for it, but he's real fit too. So he's got that 6-pack and he can actually move. Whereas if I'm carrying a 6-pack across that road, I might not be able to make it. So he's a firefighter, so he's in good shape, so he can definitely do it. But
he doesn't count. We don't need his opinion.
Cross times up for people like me.
We don't need his opinion. This is for the needy, okay?
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about as far as the next meeting is, do we want to go back to monthly meetings this way, or do we want to do every couple months until we can get back to meeting in person? I'm open to whatever you guys want to do. I'm okay with doing this type
every other until we get in person.
Okay, and like I said, I can shoot this around in a I can shoot around an email, so that way I can compile, can kind of compile an answer, and then I will also talk with the city to find out what our obligations are, because normally there's a set number of meetings that we have to have, but I'm guessing that's probably suspended during the COVID stuff. Yes. Adam, do you have an answer to that?
Yes, you can suspend right now. So your statutory requirement is, I'm pulling up your code right now.
7 out of 12, right? Is that what it is off the top of my head, or is it more?
No less than 8 times a year.
Okay, 8. It was 8 I knew it was 7 or 8 out of 12. I just couldn't remember, because normally we were doing 10 out of 12 is what we were hitting. We had 2 months off. So I know with the COVID stuff that we can suspend that. So I just wanted to get that out there. I'll follow up with an email later on. It might not be today, but sometime later this week, you'll get an email from me. And I'll give you a couple options. Just respond with preferences. I'll do 2 to 4 options, and then we'll kind of narrow it down and come up with what we're going to do. And then I'll let the city know from there. And then when we can get back to the in-person meetings, those will be pretty easy to then get back to our normal schedule. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to do this with us this evening. We are going to call this at 6:52 unless anyone has anything else to add.